بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت وإذا العشار عطلت وإذا الوحوش حشرت وإذا البحار سجرت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت وإذا الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة أزلفت علمت نفس ما أحضرت فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع ثم أمين وما صاحبكم بمجنون ولقد رآه بالأفق المبين وما هو على الغيب بضنين وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم فأين تذهبون إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله رب العالمين.
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's going on? Let me know if y'all can hear me real quick, because I'm not mic'd up on my external mic, so let me know if y'all can hear me. Put that in the chat for me. Let me know. Boom. Let me bring that up. So yeah, what's up, Asiatic, Ike Sessions, Janine B? What's going on? Yeah, let me know if y'all can hear me, and then click the like button for me. Thumbs up. But let me know if y'all can hear me. Put something in the chat. Salam, brother Yusuf Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother. All right, cool. So let's have a quick conversation real quick. Of course, we have to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sallallahu Allah, Ali, and Sallallahu Allah. Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings be upon these great, mighty men of esoteric knowledge, man. We don't even talk about that. We don't talk about the esoteric knowledge that they bestowed upon really humanity, for real. But inshallah, we can start continuing to shine that light in what this means. I was having a conversation with my son yesterday about he had met a Muslim woman, and I was telling him the difference, because he don't know nothing about Islam, and the difference between Sunni and Shia, which is it's a major thing, you know what I mean? And if you're going to be Muslim, I think you should really understand that split and investigate that, and then come to a decision and whatnot. But you would have a statement in the Quran such as, in the heavens is your provisions and everything that's promised to you. I think this is like 51:22, if I'm not mistaken. And so in the heavens is your provision in everything promised to you. And then you would have another one in 53 that says, on the horizon are signs and within yourself, so that you may understand. you know what I mean? Or so that you, so you may understand, so it's like, wait a minute, it's something on the horizon and within yourself, so you may come to an understanding, and so another one is like, in the heavens and earth are signs for the believers, and this is interesting because you can have a Muslim, you can have a believer, you can have one who knows for certain, and these are levels. And the Quran is clear about this because there's something called, there's a whole surah, whole chapter that's dealing with those in rank. Okay, and so there's a hierarchy when it comes to the belief of Allah. There's just some who know for certain, and there's just some who believe, and there's just some who Muslim. And really, in the sense of Muslim, it's just someone who is, on one level, it's just somebody who's just surrendering and say, yeah, they getting along to get along. And I call this state of conscious taqlid, which is an imitating state of consciousness, because you do it because society says do it. Nobody wants to say, I do not believe in God. It's not crude to come from that notion. And maybe you really deep down believe there is something, right? But the way you go about it, you really don't explore it. And you can't, and you don't know for certain. So you just do it because society does it and whatnot. And then there's those who really know for certain, and these people are dear to Allah. In fact, when you start understanding the mysteries that is actually interwoven into the Quran, to know for certain Mukina and Prophet Nabi are very closely related. So much so that, if memory serves me correctly, if you take the numerical value for the word Mukina, which means to know for certain, which is 160, then the word Prophet Nabi was mentioned 160 times in the Quran. So a prophet is someone who knows for certain. That's a qualification in order for him to be prophet. You understand what I'm saying? And so the Quran is beautifully layered with steps of wisdom that we can attain. So on one level, a Muslim is just the very first entry level, and that's fine. That's fine, but you need to do better than that to become closer to Allah, right? To become one who knows for certain. It's just a big difference, all right? So to say things like, in the heavens is your provision and everything promised to you, and then I turn around and I go to a Sunni masjid, or I ask any Sunni Muslim, and I say, well, tell me about, my provision in the heavens, and because astrology deals with that, you know what I mean? That's what that whole science is about. And you say, oh no, that's shirk. You can't. We don't deal with that. That's forbidden. That's it's a bad thing. Well, how is it a bad thing when the Quran clearly says, in the heaven is your provision and everything promised to you? Everything. That's a big word. Everything. That's everything. That means, again, I'm going to say it. I said your house, your spouse, your car, your health, your children, your job, money. Yes. So like all of these things are in the heaven. And if it's in the heaven, because the Quran says it's in the heaven, can you show me where in the heaven it is? Is it right there, or is it over here? Are they spread out, or is it all lumped together and it says, oh, this right here, all of this right here, this is for Yusuf Muhammad. Yusuf Muhammad, you in the chat. Everything right here about a sun, that's what everything is. Like, how do we identify it? And if it's spread out, how do we identify that? And this is an answer that I ain't gonna say dying to ask, but this is a, for lack of a better word, I will say, this is a question that I want to ask the Imam. You know what I'm saying? How do you reconcile this? So the Orthodox aspect of Islam, Sunni, they don't have no answer for this. And in fact, they're going to totally shun you away from it. And that's a disservice of what this beautiful Quran is actually referring to. My last point on this would be, you go open it up yourself. Go to 65. First, figure out what the name of that chapter is called divorce. You go to verse 12. It's the last verse. And then it tells you that Allah's command descends among the seven heavens and the seven planets. So it says Allah created the seven heavens and a similar number of earths, seven planets. Okay, these seven planets is like today, Venus is Friday. Tomorrow's the obvious one. Saturday, the day of Saturn, that's so obvious. Sunday, the day of the sun. Monday, day of the moon. So those are obvious ones, right? So Allah commands descend. Allah created the seven heavens in a similar number of planets, and His command descends amongst the planet, or descends amongst them. And and this is so beautiful to me, because I'm like, well, wait a minute, hold on. You mean to tell me you're going to sum up and close out a chapter that's called divorce with telling me that you created the seven heavens, a similar number of planets, and your instructions, your command flows between them? So that must mean this command flowing through these planets and these seven heavens, it has absolutely something to do with divorce, because it's in the chapter called divorce. And I'm going to say it's very important to understand it, because you ever give your closing remarks? Your closing remarks are absolutely your final testament, right? It's like your final will and testament. Your closing remarks is like, that's it, right? So when it comes to this subject matter on divorce, according to source 65 in the Quran, look it up yourself, Allah wants us to understand that His command flows between the seven heavens and earth. And so now, if I come and ask you, like, okay, well, what does that have to do with my relationship, Mr. Imam? Mr. Imam is going to say he don't know. That's shirk. It has nothing to do with your relationship. And this is not Quran. The Quran says these things. So this is not Quran. How do you reconcile this? Okay. And so anyway. So let's have a conversation today about Mary, the best friend of God. All right. Beautiful Mary. Yes. And so, this makes me wonder. I ain't gonna lie about it. It makes me wonder, this image right here, where you have the infamous popes who go and they visit what's known as the Shrine of the Black Madonna. Now, the one in Poland, they're going to say, hey, it's black because of years and years and years of soot that comes from candles, or the material in which the artist used eventually becomes darker over time with heat. Okay. I just ponder a question, on, I'm just going to be honest with you. Do white people understand something about Black people genetically that we may not understand about ourselves? Like, could it be, they say like the oldest human species is found, well, there's different type of human species, but some of your older species are found in Africa, whether it be Lucy or whether it be these bones in Morocco, right? Like, so let's just say if Africa is the mother civilization, human-wise, you got your oldest fossils are here. Do that make like a Black woman the original woman, original mother, like the original Eve? So I guess that's my question. Is like the Black woman the original Eve in a sense? Now, don't mean necessarily this one woman, right? Because if you understand the Bible, when Cain kills Abel, he's like, hey, if I get marked, people gonna kill me. Who gonna kill you? Ain't when nobody else created. So now we understand that Adam, this is talking about like a first group of people, not literally one human being, okay? And so is this Black woman the prototype for humanity? And if so, what does that mean? And what do you have outside of the darkness of your skin? That's physical melanin. Because everybody got neuromelanin. You know what I mean? But what is it? Is it something inside of Black woman and man that is vastly different and important? I mean, very important. Makes me ponder. It's just a question. It's just a question for right now. Okay. All right. So let's back up a little bit. Hit that like button for me so we can get the family in here. Let's back up just a tad bit, all right? Because it's all related. Remember last week we went into Imam Ja'Far Al Sadiq, and he had two wives, right? Najma, who was a black woman, okay, and well, I think that's actually that's someone else's wife. I think that's his son's wife, um, and Fatima, on who was an Arab, and the whole point was he specifically, because his wife is Hamida, not Najma. I think Najma is actually the son of his, the wife of his son Musa. So excuse that error, but nevertheless, he had a black wife. And did he purposely, do this with an intention? And remember, my whole thing was like, yo, these dudes were specifically copying the story of God and Mary. That's what the imams on the Shia side were really doing. They were dealing with, and think about this, at this point, because the imam is the spiritual inheritor of his father's wisdom and knowledge, but they're specifically looking for a woman to impregnate to give birth to the next imam, which is ultimately going to give birth to a messianic figure known as the Mahdi, Imam number 12, right? This is their thing, right? So we went into that last week, and on this diagram right here, Imam Ja'Far Al Sadiq number 6, see his wife is named Hamida, Najma is Musa's wife, but everybody on the right-hand side actually had a black wife, and her name is mentioned in green. Right. And I'm not going to get into the timeline and the split, but, long story short, I said, hey, listen, where it says 144 years of hitting imams, the Ismailis start because they followed after Ja'Far Al Sadiq dies in 765. There's a group of people who followed the son of Ishmael, which is Muhammad ibn Ishmael, 765, but they went under the radar for 144 years. And when they reappear in 873, they create a new dynasty called the Fatimid dynasty in 909, which is the only Shia dynasty to run Islam. This is very important. Very important, okay? And they established in their headquarters in Cairo, Egypt. They're the people who founded Cairo, Egypt, okay? So I said that these dudes had the intention to purposely create a Mahdi within the black woman. Well, lo and behold, last week, well, before I get into last week, this actually goes back to the 5th Imam. I thought it started with Ja'Far, but this is what I came across. It said Imam Muhammad al-Bakr, which is known as the splitter of knowledge. They said his knowledge was very, very deep. This dude he was very, very smart. He had an African bondswoman who was the mother of the significant figure in the Shia tradition, likely linked to prophecies about Imam Mahdi, with narration stating that he was the son of a black bondswoman, showing respect for this lineage despite the status of slavery common in historical context. This lineage highlights the inclusive nature of early Islamic thought, where piety and spiritual lineage mattered more than earthly status, in her being known as a bondswoman or possibly North African, and the mother of Imam Ja'Far Al Sadiq's father. So this actually goes back to easy Imam number 5, and if his mother was white, like this is going back the introduction of these black women. All right, so I just wanted to put that there. So then this is what I found out this week. This is coming from the Shia, right? And here's a rule, or here's a saying that they have about marriage with the Kurds in the Sudan. Let's start in the yellow highlight. You must not buy anyone from Sudan, but if you must buy, then buy from al-Naba. Naba means Nubia. Look it up. Go look it up. I'm not lying. Naba is Nubia, okay? There are of those about whom Allah, most majestic, most glorious, has said, of those who have said, we are helpers. we took a covenant from them, then they forgot the share of what they were reminded. This is in the Quran 5:14. Now in green, however, they will remember that share, and they, a group of them, will come out with the rise of al-Qaim, which means the Mahdi. Qaim means to resurrect, to stand up, to rise again. Okay? So they will come out with the rise of al-Qaim with divine authority from us. Now in red, it has to be investigated. They say, you must not marry any one of the Kurds. They are a species of jinn from which the cover is removed. I don't know what their beef is with the Kurds, but they saying the Kurd species is that they ain't even really humans like that. I don't know. But anyway, here is a Shia hadith that is specifically saying, don't buy anybody from Sudan, but if you do, go into Nubia. And then those people in Nubia, they're going to actually help us with the rise of the Mahdi, and they're going to have authority from us. So now these group of imams, as we just saw on the previous slide, yes, right here, all of them are marrying these black women in green, which means what? There is a spiritual union and transference of, I'm going to make up a word, imanic, meaning iman, this imanic energy, this spiritual leadership that is being transferred over. And here's the kicker. It's actually going back home to its original source when it comes to the woman. And I've proven that before, because when you deal with, well, I got a slide that'll show you 2 women in a second. All right. So anyway, in fact, it's right here. Okay. Now you have Fatima in the middle, wife of Ishmael. This is the mother of the Arabs. The mother of the Arabs, because Ishmael is the first prophet of Islam. So his wife, I showed last week, was Fatima from Egypt. So she becomes the mother of the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs. Then you got the prophet's daughter, Fatima bint Muhammad. Bint means daughter, daughter of Muhammad. And then you got Fatima al-Askari, which created the oldest university in the world, which still exists right now in Fez, Morocco. All right. And I am going to tell you that the Fatima energy, get ready, is Mary. The Fatima energy is Mary. They're the same. I'm going to prove it to you. Okay. All right. All right. So for those Shia to come, these imams to go back into the black woman, is because this originates with Hagar, the Egyptian handmaid who is the mother of Ishmael, who specifically goes in and takes him back to Egypt, marries a woman from there. Then this Fatima, the mother of the Ishmaelites, with Ishmael, who's half Egyptian, they go out and they're the parents of this tribe of the Arabs and whatnot. You see what I'm saying? So what these Shia imams are doing is they are returning Islam back to its original essence, returning it back to the original mother. And since their sons become 95, some say 97% black, by the time we get to Iman 11, the sons are now returning back to their original essence as well. Okay? All right. Very beautiful thing. It's not hidden. Okay? All right. So this is what the Quran has to say about Mary. And when the angel said, "O Mary, indeed, Allah has chosen you and purified you and chosen you above the women of the worlds." Worlds actually means universe as well. Okay? So Allah has chosen you. He's purified you. He's chosen you above all women of the universe. I want you to note that if the Quran is revealed, let's just say 6:10, the first recorded miracle of Mary will not take place until the 1500s. So this is going to be a 900-year prophecy that's in the Qur'an about Mary before the Catholic Church is going to validate what is known as a Marian apparition, a ghost of Mary. Y'all ready? So the word for chose, look at the very top. It says Sad Fa Wa SFW. Look at the bottom. It says chosen you. You see it's from the same verse, chapter 3, verse 42. So you won't say, hey, Noble's playing a Jedi mind trick on me with these words. No, you see at the very bottom, it is chapter 3, verse 42 on the left. In the middle, it says has chosen you. Yes. Then at the very top, I'm just showing you the root word. Because what does chosen mean? Well, when you look at the root word, it means sincere friend, a best friend, a bosom friend, friend of the heart, yes, or the breast, yes. So when the title says Mary, the best friend of God, or that, I'm not making that up for clickbait. That definition, he has chosen Mary, literally means best friend. So Mary is the best friend of Allah. And if you're not careful, Mary may be Allah in disguise. All right? Because Mary is a very intriguing thing. Now, woman, here is a book, a must-have, known as the World of Marian Apparitions. I actually traded my book. I let one of my people have it. Let Ruby get it. And but the World of Marian Apparitions, all of the times Mary has popped up in ghost form. Now, the Catholic Church says, they investigate some of these for 20 plus years before they make a decision and say, okay, that was abnormal. We're going to classify this as a miracle. This one, the verdict is still out. We don't know about. That's the real thing. Okay? So this is a great book to have. All right? So let's get into Al-Mother of Guadalupe, 1531. You get these when you go to the Spanish bodega at the corner store. You see this all the time. Yes? Because it appeared in Mexico. So again, this is 900 plus years after the Quran had talked about Mary as the best friend of Allah. Let's read. According to the accounts, the woman speaking to Juan Diego in Naut, or I guess that's his first language, his language in the language of the former Aztec Empire, identified herself as the Mary, mother of the very true deity. She was said to have asked for a church to be erected at the site in her honor. Based on her words, Juan Diego then sought the Archbishop of Mexico City, Juan, I'm not going to say his last name, what is that? Zumarraga, to tell him what had happened. Not unexpectedly, the Archbishop did not believe Juan Diego. Dora the Explorer, right? Come on, Diego, right? So later, the same day, Juan Diego saw the young woman again. This was the second time, and she asked him to continue insisting. The next day, Sunday, December the 10th, 1531, in the Julian calendar, Juan Diego spoke to the Archbishop a second time. The latter instructed him to return to, Tepeyac, and asked the woman for a truly acceptable miraculous sign to prove her identity. Later that day, the third apparition appeared when Juan Diego returned to Tepeyac. Encountering the same woman, he reported to her the Archbishop's request for a sign, which she consented to provide on the next day. On Monday, December 11th, however, Juan Diego's uncle fell ill and he was obligated to attend to him. In the early hours of Tuesday, December 12th, as Bernardino's condition deteriorated, Juan Diego journeyed to, I don't know how to say that word, in search of a Catholic priest to hear Juan Bernardino's confession and helped minister to him on his deathbed. To avoid being delayed by the Virgin and ashamed at having failed to meet her on Monday as agreed, Juan Diego chose another route around Teopac Hill. Yet the Virgin intercepted him and asked where he was going. Juan Diego explained what had happened, and the Virgin gently chided him for nothing having made recourse to her in the words in which have become the most famous phrase of the Guadalupe apparitions are inscribed above in the main entrance at the Basilica of Guadalupe. She asks, "Am I not here? I who am your mother." She assured him that Juan Bernardino had now recovered and told him to gather flowers from the summit of Tepeyac Hill, which was normally barren, especially in the cold of December. Juan Diego obeyed her instruction, and he found Castile roses, not native to Mexico, blooming there. Okay, and this is why Mother Guadalupe, Mary of Guadalupe, she's always seen with these roses, because the Archbishop is like, yeah, if you really saw Mary, then tell her to prove it. Show a miracle there. Don't be bothering me with this he say, she says. Go. So now these roses that are not native to Mexico are growing here. That's the legend. Okay. All right. That's the legend. All right. So now let's move on to the miraculous metal. All right. I actually love these. My son was out in the community doing what he wasn't doing though. He was with a girl, but he was going to meet a girl at a church and do some community work. And it's not even a Catholic church. And some missionaries was doing some street work, and they came and approached my son and gave him one of these. And I was like, well, open up my console. I got a whole bag of these because I used to get these out when I hand out, feed homeless people pizza and stuff. I will give them a miraculous medal, one of these as well. Okay, so let's read about the miraculous medal real quick. All right, so Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal. This is 1830 in France. Catherine Laborde, a novice, with the Daughters of Charity of Saint Vincent de Paul, reported several apparitions of Mary in the chapel of her convent. Yes, on July 18, 1830. She was awakened and led to the chapel by a child. There, the Virgin Mary appeared to her and revealed that God wished to entrust her with a mission. Mary also said to her that times were evil and foretold sorrows for France and the world. On November 27, 1830, Catherine reported another apparition where Mary showed her specific visions and requested to have a medal struck after this model. She asked her to take these images to her confessor, and that all who wear them will receive great graces. The first medals were produced in 1832 and became widely known as the miraculous medal due to the many miracles attributed to the medal. The front of the medal depicts Mary as she appeared to Catherine, while the reverse design includes the letter M under a cross along with the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Okay, so you can look into the miraculous medal and healing events that took place with that. Now, if we deal with a little bit of the background here, all right, where we want to start at here? I should have noted this. Let's start in the middle. On November 27, 1830, Catherine reported that the Virgin Mary returned to her doing evening meditations. Mary displayed herself inside of an oval frame, standing upon a globe. She wore many rings set with gems that shone rays of light over the globe. Reportedly, Mary said to her that the rays symbolize the graces she is shedding upon those who ask for them, and that the gems which did not shed light are the graces for which souls forget to ask. Around the margin of the frame appeared the words Marie, which basically says, "O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee." I'm going to talk about that in a minute. As Catherine watched, the frame seemed to rotate, showing a circle of 12 stars, a large letter M surmounted by a cross, and the stylized Sacred Heart of Jesus, crowned with thorns, and the Immaculate Heart of Mary, pierced with the sword. Catherine heard the Virgin Mary ask her to have a medal struck after this model and to take these images to her confessor, and that all who wear them will receive great graces, as we just talked about. Okay? All right. So eventually they'll go produce the medal. All right. We'll talk about that in a second. Now let's move on to 1858 real quick. All right. This is actually my favorite story of them all. All right. Because we're going to move to Saint Bernadette in Lourdes, France. Okay. Our Lady of Lourdes. In fact, I still got some water from Lourdes right now that I ordered from overseas. All right. Just holding it for a special occasion. So a 14-year-old shepherd girl named Bernadette Soubirous reported seeing Mary appear to her while she was out gathering firewood in the countryside. Mary identified herself as the Immaculate Conception and told Bernadette the location of a spring with many miraculous healings associated with its waters. Since 1862, listen to this, more than 60 medical cures associated with Lourdes have been certified as miraculous by the Catholic Church, which established its own medical bureau in 1883 to review and evaluate claims of cures. An independent study of cures published during 2012 concluded that some of the cures were currently beyond our ken, but still impressive, incredibly effective, and awaiting a scientific explanation. Okay, I gotta look at you when I see this. So over 60 plus cases have been classified as medical miracles. Salute to the Catholics for even establishing a medical bureau to be able to investigate such things on a medical perspective. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what humanity is supposed to do when you're serving God. So that's a beautiful thing. All right. Now dig this. The Catholic Church has officially recognized 70 medical miracles at Our Lady of Lourdes, with the 70th officially declared in 2018. Is actually more now, if I'm not mistaken, for Sister Bernadette Maryam. Through some sources mentioning a potential 71st being investigated or confirmed more recently, stemming from the cures reported over the decades with rigorous medical review processes ongoing at the Lourdes Shrine. So now they're saying over 70 medical miracles have happened here. Okay. Now check this out. The healing of Pierre de Ruyter. Pierre de Ruyter, a Belgian laborer who has suffered a severely fractured leg for 8 years, claimed an instantaneous and complete healing after visiting the shrine to Our Lady of Lourdes, where in Belgium, which features a replica grotto. He wasn't even in Lourdes, France, y'all. It is a replica grotto of the original in Lourdes, France. This case became one of the most famous and debated healings associated with Lourdes phenomenon, sparking extensive medical and theological discussions around the turn of the 20th century. You hear that? So this dude is saying he went to a replica site, and there are case studies that say people went to replica sites and received some form of healing. Now, it hasn't been certified through the process of miracle, but it don't mean that it hasn't happened just because it hasn't been certified. I'm just saying what's on the record book of reality. People are saying, I no longer had this because I went here. Okay? Now, this is important. So here's a replica of Lourdes. My mama used to work here. As a kid, she used to work at a nursing home that's owned by Catholics. Okay. And this is a grotto of Lourdes, a replica. And this is why you see Mary over there and Bernadette over here. And if you look behind the statue of Bernadette on the floor, it's actually some leaves back there, brown leaves and fake flowers. I can't stand fake flowers. I do not like fake flowers, right? So I had took it upon myself to be the groundskeeper, which they had a great groundskeeper, but I used to just come here and sweep and pray here and chill here. And I'm mad because I can't find the picture. But there's a lady named Bernadette that came out. And so I put these roses here. So I used to be, when I was in the city more, in this particular city, I would be the groundskeeper for the grotto. I literally nominated myself to be the groundskeeper of this grotto. And I used to put flowers there every single week. Now, it's somewhere in the PowerPoint. I don't know which one, but I don't have to lie. I was sitting there because this is a nun establishment full of women. And so this particular place, so I was reading a book on the bench, just chilling, and a nun walked out to do her little walk, and she said, "Hey, hi," and we spoke and whatnot. And I asked her what's her name, and she said Bernadette. And I think I was reading a book on Bernadette, and she was like, my mom had 8 children, and out of all the children, she chose me, because she named me after Bernadette, to go to Lourdes, France, to the shrine. And now here's this older woman who is a nun here. And of course, I told you, I mean, you ain't gonna believe this. I'm on my thing, I'm cleaning out the grotto. And a lady came out named Bernadette, who said her mama took her to the shrine of Bernadette. You know what I'm saying? So just little weird stuff like that happened. You know what I mean? So anyway, these places, these what we would call these replicas, man, these replicas, the body has a replica. You got DNA, the original, then you got RNA. RNA makes a copy. If I give you a copy of a book, like it's the same information. It's not the original book, but it's the same information. You can get the same results from the copy. So you can go to a replica site. And if your conviction is up strong enough, because that's the power right there, then it shall be granted. A miracle can happen. And they got water coming out of there too. At this particular replica site, a water fountain. Man, I would come and I would get the water. And it's funny because the honeybees is always around this water fountain. Should have put that in here because I think I do got that picture. Honeybees are always around this. And the honeybee is a very interesting creature because inside of, let me see if I can find it real quick. Because inside of the Qur'an, chapter 16, which is the bee, it talks about how healing is in its belly. This is in the Quran. All right. This is literally in the Quran. All right. Let me see something here. I want to see if I can find that picture real quick. Oh, I gotta go way back. Hold on. This was back. This was actually this was 2022, if memory serves me correctly. Yep, 22. I was there. Hold on, let me see. Do I have water fountain? Yep, right. So you won't be able to see it. Let me see. Y'all see that? That's a bee. That's the bee. And so there's a water fountain that's there. It's got a little glare on it. I don't know if I can get it because of that glare. But the first time you should have seen it. So you see the bee wing right there. That's a bee. And this is the water fountain. All right. So these bees, and that's the water. I don't know if you can see the water fountain from afar like that, man. But anyway, these bees are just circling this place. I said, oh, no. Wherever the bee is, that's where healing is, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's just not about honey. Bee makes something called propolis as well, which is all the substance for all the flowers and whatnot. And that's very therapeutic as well. Very therapeutic. Okay. So I found that very intriguing there. So if you got a local place that got a replica of Lord's Friends or any of these places, you may want to check it out. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a quiet, serene place anyway. You get what I'm saying? And see, to me, this is Islam. This ain't got nothing to do with Catholics to me. Because the Quran says, listen, we favor Mary. In fact, Mary is Allah's best friend. That's in the Quran. And so what happens is this beautiful truth comes to this school, and this school deals with the truth this way. This school over here deals with this aspect. What did the Quran teach us? The Quran says, hey, you are supposed to be out here competing in the righteousness of God. And the things you got discrepancies about, we will inform you on that when you return to us, but you ain't supposed to be out here set tripping. That ain't what you're supposed to be doing. If the Quran also says, if we wanted to make you one believing race of people, we could have did that. That's easy for us to do, but we didn't. We created you with different rights and different customs so that you may get to know one another. You're supposed to get to know one another so you can see the total glory of Allah. So my friend Ruby, right? She's Catholic, right? I sent Ruby on a Catholic mission. Girl, you need to go over there. You love Marian, go to the Catholic Church. Right? And she went to the Catholic Church and fell in love with the Catholic Church. And so she'd be sending me stuff. And people be like, man, Catholics, this is number one, right? And I know what you're doing. Really trying to sway me out of Islam. That's what you're trying to do, low key, right? So I'll be laughing. And I'll be like, there's really no difference. There's no, see, when you understand, that's why I like the Quran, because the Quran obviously comes after, but it says, listen, we know Mary. Mary's the best friend of God, not Muhammad. Think about that. That verse, literally, that word literally translated to mean best friend. God chose Mary means best friend. Muhammad is not even the best friend of Allah. Mary is. And I dare say this. There are no male apparitions popping up of this one male figure over and over again, transversing continents from Mexico to Europe to Japan to Africa. Yeah, Mary popped up in Africa. I just didn't put it here because it's not certified miracle. The things that I pointed here is certified miracle, certified like, okay, that was real. Okay. Let's keep on going. All right. So where we at here? Didn't I tell y'all Mary was Fatima? Here it is. Our Lady of Fatima, because it happened in Fatima, Portugal. 3 shepherd children reported seeing apparitions of an angel who identified himself as the guardian angel of Portugal, followed by apparitions of Mary. Mary revealed to the children 3 secrets. First, the reality of hell and the means of saving people from it through personal sacrifices and acts of reparation. Second, a prediction of future upheavals beginning with World War II, the spiritual means of ending them. Oh, listen to that. The spiritual means of ending World War II, which was a consecration of Russia and what's that? Communions of reparation on first Saturdays. Yes. And a prediction of an eventual triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Third, an obscure vision of future persecution of the Catholic Church. The apparitions culminated with the miracle of the sun, an astronomical phenomenon witnessed by a crowd of approximately 70,000 people, and even by others located miles away. All 9 popes since the apparitions, and they start naming these popes, and Francis being the last, have indicated their belief in the authenticity of the apparitions. Pope John Paul II, I don't know why, but I always like that dude. Kind of remind me of my grandfather. Something about him. And my grandfather was a black, bald head dude, always smelled good and had blue eyes. Credited Our Lady Fatima with saving his life after he was shot in Rome on May 13th, feast day of the apparition in 1981, and donated the bullet that wounded him to the sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima. In 1925, 8 years after Fatima events, Lucia and then Sister Lucia reported another set of related apparitions, which became known as the Pontevedra apparitions. Okay, so now she appears in Fatima, and they call her Lady Fatima. This is why I'm telling you, Fatima and Mary is connected. All right, and this is 1917. All right, now let's talk about this miracle of the sun. What's next, real quick? Let me see. Because they said the miracle of the sun. Let's talk about miracle of the sun. And I'm going to show you a miracle of the sun. Miracle of the sun, also known as miracle of Fatima, is a series of events reported to have occurred miraculously on the 13th of October, 1917, attended by a large crowd who had gathered in Fatima, Portugal, in response to a prophecy made by 3 shepherd children. The prophecy was that the Virgin Mary, referred to as Lady of Fatima, would appear and perform miracles on that date. Newspapers published testimony from witnesses who said that they had seen extraordinary solar activity, such as the sun appearing to dance or zigzag in the sky, advance towards the earth, or emit multicolored light in radiant colors. According to these reports, the events lasted approximately 10 minutes. I am about to upload a video and show you this. Less than a month ago, this happened. All right, so let me go get this video and show you this in real time. I'll show you what it looked like in real time. Watch it ascend. The sun is ascending. Alhamdulillah. You see that? You see that? You see that? Look at that again. Houseway. Y'all see that? Crazy. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. That's wild. I'm gonna show you who sent me that in a few. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to why is Mary's mantle blue? Why is it blue? Well, Mary's mantle is blue. They're going to say it symbolized her royalty, queen of heaven, purity as her role as the new Ark of the Covenant, protecting and carrying Jesus, God's presence, much like the blue cloth covering the Ark in the Old Testament. So they tell you it represents purity in heaven, royalty, queen, mother, right? The Ark of the Covenant. And they do say that in the Old Testament. Some say violet, but it's blue. Whenever the camp is about to move out, Aaron, very funny, because what did the prophet say about Ali? I'm Moses and you're Aaron. Aaron and his sons are to take down the shielding curtain and cover the ark of the testimony with it. Then they are to cover this with, what's that say? Porpoise hide, then spread over it a cloth of solid blue. Then they are to put the poles in place. So they're covering the Ark of the Covenant with a blue cover. Yes? Like Mary is in a blue mantle. Yes? So I said, oh, remember, her light was coming out of her hand. Remember when we dealt with the miraculous metal? Remember at the miraculous metal, Catherine, she saw Mary having light coming out of her hands that said, this represents the graces onto people if they call upon me. Oh, whoa. I thought we were supposed to do nothing but pray to God. Uh-oh. See, this is why I don't knock no other school of thought, and you cannot do it. You cannot do it. So I said, oh, Mary is really the Blu-ray DVD technology. That's Mary. That's all that was. So when you understand the Blu-ray, in essence, the Blu-ray is just saying, hey, listen, we use a blue laser for higher data density. So in other words, they can encode more information using the Blu-ray than the red laser. So Mary is nothing more than Blu-ray technology. This is the real Blu-ray, Mary. Okay? Beautiful. All right? So this is how the sun went up. She sent me the picture on the left yesterday. Who I affectionately call Mother Shantae. Jew was like, here. You know what I mean? You ain't from here, right? Am I frozen? I think my layout is frozen. There you go. All right. So that's who sent it to me. So, alhamdulillah, salute to her, because again, and this is exactly why, and hear me closely, especially those of you who rock with me, like on Sunday classes, this is why, and in the Patreon, I put it out there, but, it's up to you to do it. This is exactly why I put you on the sun. Exactly why. Again, the history with Shantae is when she came into my solar power class for a whole year, I had her focusing on the sun, doing certain mantras for a whole year. And when I say without a shadow of a doubt, she was the most diligent person that I had in that particular class. She was the most diligent person in that class, right? And I'm just honored to have been a part of the process to bear witness to the glory of God's light and his light through her, because this is crazy. And I got pictures of this girl who's like transparent and disappears in front of the camera. Like it ain't nothing. When that sun come out and she start working with the sun, this is defying the laws of physics around here. This is different. Totally different. But this is what the feminine energy looks like when it's drunk in love with God. This is what it looks like when it's fully activated in one of its versions, because it can come through various different ways. It can come through touch, and you got a magnetic touch that heal people. It can come through just psychic perception. It can come through various ways, but this is one of the ways that it show up, and I love the light. So now let me show you, or share with you rather, some hadiths from the imams that I say they're imams. All right, and I ain't taking no shot at the Sunnis, but the Sunni imam is not an imam. You ain't no imam. The love for women. Let's read the highlight. I do not think a man can increase anything good in his belief except that he increases his love for women. The very top, love for women is the moral manners of the prophets. You hear that? So I do not think a man can increase anything good in his belief except that he increases his love for women. Let's read this one. The most enjoyable thing people experience in the world and in the hereafter is the enjoyment with women. And it is, in the words of Allah, most majestic, most glorious, the love and enjoyment for women and children is made attractive for people. That's in the Quran 3:13. He, talking about the Imam, then said, People of paradise would not enjoy from anything else as much as they will with marriage, but not from food nor drink. Now, when I said that, I said, man, I know I come from this school because I'm the one that said on the record, God comes out and he gives me an option, eternal life in heaven, but you can't have sex, but you're going to think about it. You can think about it, but I promise you it's all good over here. That it's actually better than sex, but you just can't have sex here because it's heaven. Or you can have eternity somewhere else on earth with your woman. I'm going to stay with my woman. I said that. I'm on the record. I know y'all heard me say it in the chat. I've been said this. I'm on the record saying this. I said I'm easily taking my woman. I see, because if I get over there and I'm still thinking about and I'm yearning for her, I'm going to want to get up out of here. I'm bored. I don't care if it's all white clouds and unicorns and shit. The moment that my mind say, I want companionship and I want some nookie and I can't have nookie here, I'm going to ask to be sent back. So I'm not going to jeopardize that. This is validated right here amongst the Shia Imams. You enjoy nothing. The paradise on the other side is not even comparable to what a true union, and I have to stress that, what a true union can bring. That's cleverly hidden in the Quran. I showed you that. In Fatiha, the opening verse of the Quran, when it says Maliki Yawmiddin, master of the day of judgment, no, that actually translate to master, translate to king, queen, a wedding, and that whole word also is the same meaning as invisible world. So your marriage and your wedding of the king and queen literally is the equivalent to heaven. I showed you that in Fatiha. And now it's coming right back out in Hadith among Shia. Okay? All right, moving on. Kinds of women. Women are four kinds: universal goodness, a fountain of breeding, an oppressive overburdening, or feed for parasites. Woo-hoo. Wow. Wow. Best kinds of women. The best of your women are the childbearing, loving, and chaste, who are dear at home, humble with her husband, showing her beauty to her husband, fortress from strangers, who listens to his words, and obeys his orders, and in private offers to him what he wants, and she does not display vulgar manners as man does. Ooh-wee. Moving on, virtuous women are fortunate chance for a man. Let's read up on some of these. At the top, there is not anything more beneficial to a man after his accepting Islam than a Muslim woman who pleases him when he looks at her and gives when he asks and protects his interest in his absence. Ooh, can you handle this portfolio? Can you handle it? Can you handle this man? Can you handle it? When I want to bring together for a Muslim the goodness of this in the next life, I place in him a heart that shows reverence to me, a tongue that speaks of me, a body that bears patience in hardships, and a believing wife who gives him joy when he looks to her and who protects his interest in his absence. Very last one at the bottom, having a virtuous wife is a good fortune that a man enjoys. What did I say before? I said this before too, right? I said we should just want to look at our partner. When you look at your partner, you should smile. Be like, damn, you're beautiful. But all this, just all the happy, good stuff should be coming up. Now, if you lost it, you got to figure out how to get it back, right? But you should be able to look at your partner and have that sense of, here's a key word, admiration. Don't mean I want to be like you, but admiration produces inspiration. Believe that. Your presence alone can inspire someone. Okay. Now dig this, because they don't like living single. They don't like the bachelor lifestyle. That's a no-no over here. They don't like it. 2 rak'ah of prayer performed by a married person is more virtuous than 70 rak'ahs of prayer performed by a non-married person. In the middle, by getting married, one secures 1/2 of his religion. At the very bottom, what do it say? The worthless dead among you are the unmarried ones. Ooh-wee. Chapter 10, with marriage substances increase. One who neglects marriage for fear of failure to feed his family has become distrustful of Allah. The last one, and complained. Somebody came to the Prophet, complained about his financial condition. The Rasulullah, the Messenger of Allah, said, become married. And he did so, after which he became affluent. Now, I want to talk about this for a minute, because at the top, it's saying, hey, if you worried about how you're going to take care of your wife and your kids, and you're not going to have no kids and no wife, you don't really believe in God, because see, something magical happens. And that makes me think about how it was in our parents' time, where, listen, my dad right now is helping his dad. My granddad is like 93 years old right now, 93, 94, right? I'm talking about a 710 square foot house. And it was like 5 siblings, 2 boys, and actually more than that. It was two boys and like 4 girls. And the girls shared that one bedroom, right? And so you remember those stories back in the day. Everybody was over your granny's crib and everybody lived there. Some way, somehow, they made it work. With less resources than I think we have today, somehow, some way, they brought forth all these children and made it work. Made it work. So anyway, this is just a great food for thought right here. One who neglects marriage for the fear of failure to feed his family has become distrustful. They say basically have trust, create, because your sustenance is going to come from this. Okay? Then here's another one on a whole nother level. You must marry one who is religious beyond questions. I'm not talking about spiritual today. That's what they meant then, right? So spiritual today, I will be talking about that. Spiritual today, they talking about that. You know what I mean? Because now today we don't like the term religious, but you know what they say in the context of what they saying. Hey, listen, you must marry someone who is what? Religious. In other words, somebody that is into God, man. Into God. Okay? And that's my last slide right there. You have to marry someone who is into God way beyond that. Okay? So, who is married? The feminine archetype who was chosen. And here's something that I read somewhere. You can apply yourself and become chosen. Yeah. See, that whole process of enlightenment that we go through, yes, that comes from what? That comes from you making a choice to surrender. That's why the light comes on. This is what happens when you make the choice to surrender. You are choosing to be chosen. So we're all chosen. Absolutely. It's a state. We're all chosen. We all have the ability to hit the switch. Will we do it? No. Most of us will not do it. And we know we're not going to do it. Right? So I feel like it's winter time over here, man. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Right? So, will we make the choice? You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's about. It's about making the right choice. Now, the feminine energy here, like, again, it ain't no male dude popping up all across this earth. You call this place Mother Earth for a reason. So I dare say, I do have to agree with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said 75% of the work is done on the woman. Only 25% of the work is done with the man. The work is over here. The whole mystery schools has always been considered feminine. Always. As we get into the Quran, the way I show you, it has been talking a lot about a woman. Something dealing with a woman. So the woman has to, I'm going to say it this way. Get ready. We got a quiz coming up on my Sunday class. And this is what they absolutely have to know. They got to know this by heart. And they got to be on camera and say this. Because, but I got somebody that like to do open book tests around here when it's not an open book test. All right. But anyway, so the key to it is to discover and surrender to the will of God by opening and purifying the heart, whereas our souls may expand in the light of God, making our lives truly fulfilled. That sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot, y'all. It is really, we understand that process. That's the key. To discover, you got to discover it first. Go ahead, Dora. You have to discover and surrender to the will of God. You got to discover that first. Once you discover it, then there's a surrendering process. I always say that. How can you surrender to something you haven't discovered? You haven't discovered the truth for yourself yet. So when you discover that, to discover and surrender to the will of God, how can you do it? You can start doing it by opening up your heart. I keep telling y'all this. This is important. You don't purify your heart by keeping it closed. Oh, I'm working on myself. No. I read somewhere and I agree with this 1,000%. All that working on self stuff, you're going to do that. But the part I'm talking about, a lot of that stuff is running away from facing the true alchemy, the true transformation, facing events, facing the environment that the triggers pop up in for you to get over it. So you think by just staying secluded, you didn't got over it because you've been secluded. You've been single for all these years. But as soon as you get in a relationship, you don't know how to act. But I thought you was working on self though. You see what I'm saying? So that's a slippery slope. And oftentimes really an illusion, right? So you have to open this up first. That's why I always say it's a fire hydrant. Take the cap off the fire hydrant, that rusty water gonna come out. We're gonna bleed the lines. When we see that it's clean, then we cap it back off. That's purification. Purification happens when you throw up. Get the poison out, throw up, right? So you gotta throw up, gotta go defecate, right? Get the toxins out you. It gotta come out. So on the emotional level, you have to be able to engage on a certain level in order for these strings to get touched. And the moment that they get touched, are you patient enough where you can say, hey, hold on, this feel this way. Let me have a minute to process, right? And then go through the process, right? So this the method that I'm giving is saying, hey, no. We're gonna purposely go right in there and open that right on up, because when you open that up, there's a purification process. What did the Quran say? It said, let me take this off. What did the Quran say about Marian? He chose you and purified you, and then chose you as what? Amongst, chose you over all the women in the universe. All right. They say world. And the angels said, "Oh Mary, indeed Allah has chosen you. You are Allah's best friend. He purified you and then chose you above the women of the world." So he chose you, purified you, and made you, woman, his best friend. God dang, man, that's beautiful. If Mary is just an archetype of the feminine energy, period, the woman is God's best friend. What am I, chopped liver? What am I? Nah, I think I'm jealous a little bit. Wait, can I get some favor around this joint? I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, right? That's a beautiful thing. The woman is the best friend of God. Now, that is actually blasphemy when you come over here to the Kabbalistic school of thought, because the Kabbalah gonna flat out tell you, nah, she ain't the best friend of God. She is the manifestation of God. What Karen Berg said, God wears lipstick. That's what she said. God wears lipstick. The Shekinah. Today, Friday, what's going to happen 18 minutes before sunset? The Jewish woman's going to light them Shabbat candles. She may say Shema O Israel, right? She may call the Shema, wrap her hands around this candle light for a minute, and then she's going to place her hands over her eyes. And she's going to give the blessings for the entire household for the Sabbath that's going to start this evening. The woman is in charge of doing that because of her physical structure, or how God made her to be the mother to give birth to physicality. I understand as man, I'm operating in the masculine aspect of God, i.e., thought, idea, action. Impregnating your mind with the idea for you to what? Nurture and give birth to. So you're the manifestation of the physical world. I put my seed inside of you. You nurture and you birth that, right? I heard something before, like they say, I've heard this. They say something like, in regular relationships, if a man gives a woman an idea, you will know if that's the woman for you. Because when you're sharing the idea about yourself, she didn't went ahead and start making some arrangements to get things done for your ideas to come about so they can manifest themselves. She just ain't there listening. She's there to figure out how to give birth to those ideas. Obviously, your ideals and your goals have to be the same. There's a slide in one of these that I thought I had in here that talks about, again, when you marry a religious person or marrying a person of virtue, y'all being on the same page. So now it makes sense. Now she ain't gonna give birth to some things if y'all ain't on the same page. You may not even have no ideas. You just go to work, come home, drink beer, watch the game. That's your life. Work, beer, play the game, go to sleep. She went to work and she come home and she clean. You play the game, drink your beer, and I dare say, you know, nigga, if she doing that, you need to absolutely be helping in the house too. I'm gonna say it. Don't be mad at me. That's how I feel. Like, if we're gonna call a spade, because your money ain't taking care of everything. And so that's I don't think that's honestly fair equity in my viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? And so you ain't got no ideas to give her the birth, it ain't gonna happen. Now, I don't mean that she ain't for you. Y'all perfectly made for each other because y'all don't want to do nothing. But life is just static as it is and perfectly fine. And that's beautiful for you. It's beautiful. Now, for those of you as men who have ideas, then we have to make sure that, okay, we are paired with one who is listening and that is absolutely has the intention on giving the divine birth. And divine birth does not mean physical far as a human being. It goes back to what? Your ideas becoming made manifest. That's it. So the woman has a great deal of work to do to learn how to give birth to the ideas. Okay? When coupled. And it don't mean that it don't go two ways. See, the beautiful thing about energy is it's a two-way street. You got some women who are way more entrepreneurially creative than men, and he can play a supportive role in making sure that pop. I don't have no problem playing that role. That's dope to me. Like, okay, that's what you want. You want, okay, you go get her. Like, that's your thing. You in your boss chick era type of thing. You want to run and go get it. If I feel like running with you to go get it, I can put on that costume and run and go get it with you. If I'm in that era, you know what I mean? If I'm in that mode, you know what I mean? So sometimes that may happen. So we got to understand that energy is a reciprocal thing. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, just know your function. Know your function, man. All right. All right. We got anything in the chat? What time is it? 1:50, 10:30. We did a little bit over an hour. I didn't think that. You know what I mean? Cards and keys. Yeah, that's what's up. She said, that's us. Absolutely. And that's how it's supposed to be. Right there. This whole story, God and Mary, Jesus and Mary, the Imams and the Mahdi, this whole thing is talking about righteous thought that gets made manifest through creating things together. At the core, that's what the whole story is about. And this can go all the way to can we create a Mahdi or create a Christ? Yes, you can. I said for years. I know that the heavenly laws play a major role in the characteristics and the karma of the individual based off their birth chart. That's a fact. The Qur'an validates that. So now I can look into the future and say, shit, 10 months from now, your conception date is going to be, you know, if you conceive today and we go 10 months from conception, hold on, shorty. This is going to be the birth atmosphere celestially, right? So usually if we go, even if we just do basic math, right now, where we at? We in Sag season. Opposite Sag is what? Opposite, or go 3 back, a square to that, that's going to put us in Virgo. So is Virgo conducive for us right now? Let's just say, yeah, we need a seed in the family that is super duper health conscious, that's basically going to be a doctor, a healer. So what are the healing energies? The healing energies is Virgo and Scorpio. So now I'm going to look into the future and see what this Virgo season look like. The sun is in Virgo, Mercury's in Virgo. Are they together at the same time? Can Venus be in Virgo? Because Venus is not too far from the sun. Will it happen to be there this year? Sometimes it's one sign back or one sign forward. So it may not be this year, but it's going to happen in 2027. It'll be there, right? So that may be important to have Venus there because Venus deals with values and whatnot. And then we may say, oh, when will the moon be there? Because the moon is going to be there for 2 days out of the month, 2.5 days out the month. When is that going to be there? Okay, the moon is going to be there. Okay, cool. So it's going to be here. So now we need to conceive at this time. So your due date would be around this particular time in the future. And this is why the story of the Magi, the 3 wise men, what were they doing? Oh, they looked at the star and saw that the Messiah was born. Really? Do you really think they just looked at the vastness of the earth? We all can see the same thing depending on what time of day it is, right? You really think that the sun being 91 to 93 million miles, depending where we at in our orbit away, just based off the sun, we know the precise location of the person? Or was it talking about something a little bit more detailed? Because Magi literally translate to me Oriental astrologer. Literally, that's what that word translates to. Oriental astrologer. So yeah, we know this is the Mahdi. We know that this is the person right here because we are giving birth with the intention to fit this family dynamic. You understand what I'm saying? Based off this law. That's what this is about. Again, Mary, as you saw in the story, Mary had 12 stars around her head. Same in Revelations. These 12 stars. What's going on with these 12 stars? Yeah. Because we are to create destiny. We are to create destiny. We imprint destiny with consciousness. We imprint space with consciousness. And this is how you program space using the science. So yeah, we can get down to that. And then of course, the woman is supposed to go into an ovulation period when she's pregnant. Put her up in the cut. She over there. What you need? You need some big muscle bound niggas to come feed you grapes and fan you and so what you need, you know what I'm saying? Like, go over there, well protected, as the Quran says. We made man out of a clinging substance in a well protected repository, which also translates to mean crystal. You're calling the womb a crystal. Okay? Beautiful stuff. All right. All right. Any questions? Let's Think podcast. What it do? What's happening, man? Walaikum assalam, man. What's going on, beloved? What's happening? Yeah, I definitely got to check out my brother Chief Ali over here at Let's Think podcast and whatnot. But yeah, that's how we are to use this science. Okay. All right. Now I know it's a little delay, so I'm gonna ask y'all one time. Y'all got any questions, any comments? Put it in here. If not, I'm about to shift gears, man. I got one of my houses. Made a little fella rest in peace, man. Because I actually like this little dude, man. You know, little dude died, man. I had a tenant. Just gonna share some of my life with you in real life. You know what I mean? Last month, around this time, was end of the month. It actually happened beginning of this month. His rent is due. I gotta have your rent by the 5th because I got a mortgage on this house and it automatically come out my account. So maybe one day I share with you how I got a free house, right? Show you how to structure real estate deals on how you can get a free house, all right? Because I think I'm about to get back in my real estate bag. I think I'm being pushed to. I ain't necessarily want to, but I'm pushed to do it, so I may have to do it. But anyway, he comes to the door and he's like really weak and feeble and he's absent-minded, and they ain't really like him. He's kind of hyper. He was already a little fella, and he didn't have a rent, and so I left. And I remember sharing with a couple people. I was like, "Yo, man, I think this dude about to die." I said, "He don't look good." So it disturbed me that I got back here. I left. I went back to the house, knocked on the door because I was going to ask, "Do you want me to take you to the hospital?" Right? And so I would run the dude right here to the Speedway gas station and stuff, and get us a little food and stuff. And he didn't answer the door. And then maybe 2 days later, I went over there. He answered. He had partial rent. He had majority of it. He wanted me to take him to the store. And I said, "Man, you want me to take you to the hospital? You already little, man." I said, "You don't really look too good." And he's like, "Nah, man, I don't know what it is." And that's not like him. Usually he'd be like, "Assalamu alaikum, but hey, habibi." Like he was a hyper little white dude. You know what I'm saying? I said, "All right, man, I can't make him." You know what I mean? I said, "All right." And a couple of days later, man, I got a text message that he died. You know what I'm saying? So I'm cleaning out that property right now, and that's what I'm about to go do. You know what I mean? That property's being cleaned out. I gotta start putting together my rehab thing and whatnot, and picking out floors and stuff like that and whatnot. Which is kind of exciting. Now I kind of get it. I get excited when I get to redo a project. You know what I mean? Like this whole little space was nothing like this, and that's why I did this space over. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you know what I mean? That wasn't on the wall. You know what I mean? So I get to do that, and that's kind of fun to take a space and repurpose a space and give it a whole new life and get to make some money doing it. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. All right. What we got here? All right. Yes, all is well. Cool. That's what's up. All right. So we good? All right, man. Well, y'all make sure that y'all subscribe. Hit me up on Patreon, man. I'd love to have you. We're about to do something because this Sunday is finals. So you're not of course, I'm not going to put a lot of stuff on you right now, but your final will come later if you come in now. There's certain things that you need to have as a foundation for sure when you rocking with me. I just got to be honest about it. These are things that are revealed in the Quran. Alhamdulillah, like I said yesterday, my son was telling me he met a Muslim woman, and I said, "Yeah, she's Sunni, bro. You're gonna have to know the difference between Sunni and Shia and just understand something." And I was showing him something. One of the things that blew my mind in the Holy Quran, for me, the biggest thing in the Holy Quran, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, is chapter 70, known as the ascending stairways or staircases, right? Verse 4 totally blew my mind on how far the Quran is. This also happens to be, if we go to a golden mean calculator in the Quran. I'm gonna do it real quick and just in real time for you, real fast, so you can see, just in case you've never seen this. This is important, man. I'm gonna share this screen right here. Let me see something. I want to go golden mean calculator. I hate when I'm not at which majigger. This might, I think it's this one right here. Is it? Yeah. When I put the total chapters of the Holy Quran in, you see this? That's 70.4. Okay. And 43, which I said it before. I'm gonna come off of that. I said it before. Surah 70, verse 4 says, the spirit and the angels and the spirit ascend to him in the measure of 50,000 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't stress this enough. That is a coordinate. The Quran gave you a location to what the spirit and the angels ascend to. He said 50,000 years. You should be able to find that. And when I found that, which is the Sagittarius dwarf sporoidal galaxy, and we asked, what is this galaxy? Science shows us that the sporoidal galaxy and our Milky Way galaxy kept crashing and colliding into one another and created our sun. I said, oh, snap. So Allah is giving us the knowledge of how we were created, how we came into being. We galactic beings. Literally, we came together. We literally come from explosions of stars. We're made up of the same material. So these two galaxies crash into each other, or what I call galactic lovemaking, and created us. So that's in 70 verse 4. 50,000 light years. So it says, the angels in spirit ascend to him in the day, the measure of 50,000 years, of which you count. That's a day to us on the side of light, but you gonna count as 50,000 years, Earthling. The sporoidal galaxy loops over our Milky Way galaxy, and from our Milky Way galaxy pole to the sporoidal galaxy is 50,000 years. But the distance, that's over the galaxy. The distance from Earth to that particular galaxy is 70,000 light years. But it's verse 70 that reveals this ascension known as the ascending stairways. So the Quran is giving us specific coordinates to deal with. So when the Quran also says in Surah 2, Safa and Mara are but symbols of Allah. I showed you symbol. The word symbol literally is the same word for Sirius. And Safa and Mara, while you thinking these are two rocks, historically ain't got nothing to do with that. Mara is Andromeda, and Safa means alignment, to be in alignment or a row. So if Andromeda is here in the north, when you look at the layout of Mecca, Andromeda is in the north, then I know where does Andromeda, what constellation does Andromeda line up with? Aries. Okay, then what's below Aries? Straight across. Libra. What happens to be in Libra? Miser 87, the largest elliptical galaxy in the Virgo supercluster, 47,000 galaxies. So the Quran is playing by galaxies, i.e. what? Go to Surah 85 and look at the name of it, Al-Buruj. If I pull it up, it's going to tell you zodiac signs. Some say towering stars, galaxies. The Quran is playing by galaxies, and the 5 daily prayers are supposed to be centered around, and I'll tell you, Sirius as a star, the throne is Sirius, because the word for throne is what? Arsh. Ain Ra Shin. Yes? Then how you spell Sirius? Sar, Shin, Ain, Ra. Same 3 letters. So the throne is Sirius. Andromeda is a galaxy. Miser 87 is a galaxy. And then you got 2 other galaxies, our Milky Way galaxy and the sporoidal galaxy. These are your 5 prayers. And if you know how to chart the heavens, it's identical to the 5 times that we pray. Our prayers are prayers that are in alignment with galaxies, man. Not no freaking moon. galaxies. The Earth in the whole solar system, our whole Milky Way, forget the Earth, our whole Milky Way galaxy in 4.5 to 5 billion years from now is on a collision course with Andromeda. It's an event already called Milkomedia. The Milky Way and Andromeda are going to merge and create a bigger galaxy. What a coincidence, at the same time, the light of the sun goes out 4.5 to 5 billion years from now, because it's going to be a whole new creation. Ida Shamsu Kuriyat, by the light, the sun of the light, boom, goes out. So what Surah 81 is telling you, the light is going out. There's a new form of creation that's coming. So in truth, when you're part of the eternal Allah, yes, then our focus and our attention, we're supposed to learn how to dial in. Oh, there it is right here. So I know, and I show my community is what? Break out a sundial, give them a dial. What's today's date? The sun is right here. So I know that if the sun is right here, where's the sun at today? In Capricorn. Oh, the sun is in Capricorn. That's the spheroidal galaxy. A little bit to the right is the Milky Way galaxy. If this is Capricorn, then behind me or straight across from the sun is what? Sirius. Oh, so if Sirius is here, then to my immediate right would be what? Miser 87. To my immediate left would be what? Andromeda. Now I'm ready for the Salat, ladies and gentlemen. I just gave you some shit. Now I'm ready for the Salat. I'm ready for the prayer, because I know what all the galaxy points and what the prayer is pointing to, and I become the center point reference for the light of the galaxies to come through me. Arm, leg, arm, head, Allah, you. So now the light is supposed to come within you, and now you're ready to do your prayer. This is the type of stuff that we need to be on, along with programming space. But that takes discipline. It takes a level of discipline. I gotta put her back here. I do. It takes a level of discipline. There she is right there. I know without a shadow of a doubt, and I'm not saying this to be arrogant, I got proof. I produce minister Jews around here. Listen, I'm your favorite teacher's favorite teacher. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm telling you, I'm your favorite teacher's favorite teacher. I'm like Scarface from hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all don't put them in the top 5, but your top 5 fuck with face. I'm telling you. All right. I'm your teacher's favorite teacher. I produce minister Jews around here to come out of this camp. Light come out of this camp. I'm telling you. And so what I'm saying is, rock with me. Suspend everything. Only if your spirit tells you to. Rock with me and watch what happens. Give me your undivided attention and say, you know what? I'm going to do exactly what this nigga tell me to do. I just got to talk like that. I'm going to do exactly what this nigga tell me to do and see what happens and zone out. But you got to be disciplined in your practice, the quality of your practice. See, she gets to reach this state because she ain't got no man interfering with her. Not on a daily basis. You understand what I'm saying? Not on a daily basis. All right? All right, man. So what we got in the chat so I can get out of here? Do you believe Ibrahim what's his name? Torre is a representative of Mahdi for Islam, signaling in the West? He's something. That's a good question. He's something. I haven't looked at him in totality. I see why he's threatening to a degree, just based off of structure, how he looked. You know what I'm saying? But I haven't tied him into Islam and the Mahdi in the West. But he's absolutely symbolic, though, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Would you say you Libra? Libra season, man, adjust the scales. Yeah. So that's really part of our prayer points. Our 5 prayer points. Y'all ready? Here go the 5 prayer points. The 5 prayer points, but you got to know how to use it. So I'm not giving you how to use it, but I'm going to give it to you just so you can have it. Cancer, Aries, Capricorn, Sagittarius, they next to each other. And this is why Asr and Maghrib prayers are next to each other. Now in the summertime, when we get more light, they spaced out more. But in the wintertime, they come very quickly close together because it's about light, okay? And so Capricorn, Sagittarius, and then Libra, okay? And there's an anomaly here. If you understood these points, there's something strange going on where technically our Milky Way galaxy is throwing off the regular pattern of these other four. It's kind of like having four corners in a square, but then you added a fifth point to it, and it's like, wait a minute, this ain't split. Why is this right here? This is kind of throwing off the symmetry of a square to put this fifth point here. So you actually here to perfect the circle, or what they call square the circle. There's some work to be done. Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that. You don't live in a perfect shaped circle. You're in an egg. So there's some perfecting that have to be done. 365 days is fitting in 360 degrees of a circle. We live in an oblong circle. There's some times of the year that things go faster, and then we're on a longer part of the year, things go slower. When things go through the constellation Aries and Gemini, that shit go fast. You go through the constellation of Leo, it's a longer time. So it's a different part of the oblong circle that we in. All right? I'm big on this. I was like, hey, man, you should be able to, like I told my son yesterday, you should be able to take a piece of paper, draw a circle, put a sun in the middle of the circle. Now circumscribe your reality. Tell me where we at in space and time. There go the sun. Now where the earth at right now? Now draw 12 constellations on this circle. Where we at right now? You should be able to tell me where are we at in space time right now? Yes? All right, I come off. All right. I come off of it. All right. But yeah, get with me. Let us see you in the Patreon. Come through. In fact, I got to do my quote. I'm tripping. I got to do 3 astral reports. I might pay attention. Go to the Patreon if you want a personal astral report. See if that tier is open. I think it may be a small opening there. They fill up fast when I tell people. So check it out. All right. Because at the end of the month, the last 10 days, there's a certain amount of quotas that I have to do to start getting people their reports. I'm giving people an astral report for January, showing them what the forecast is. And most importantly, make a plan according to the energy. Okay, just don't sit there. Make a plan according to the energy. All right. So that may be, I'm quite sure it's a few slots that's open over there on the Patreon. Check it out. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave y'all with Qadr, the Night of Power, which low key is talking about a woman, but you won't see it in this translation. But it's a beautiful, beautiful surah. Hit me up if you need me. You know where I be. And Juma Mubarak, Shalom, Shabbat. I will see you next Friday. All right. Peace.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر